You know, before I watched the Chainsaw Man movie, it didn't even cross my mind to watch the trailer. Not at all. And it's a good thing that I didn't, because had I simply just saw the thumbnail for the trailer, it would have told me everything I needed to know. I don't have too much to talk about today. So, quick little story. Earlier tonight, I went to the grocery store with my dad, and outside the grocery store, there was an old guy playing an instrument, some sort of instrument, I don't know. And I just felt bad for him. I'm just like, damn, you know? It's winter time, and he still has to stand outside and play instruments for any sort of donations. So I dug in my pockets and I gave him a little something. I gave him $2, which isn't a lot, but, you know, it's something. You know, I just felt really bad for him, especially because it's winter time and he still has to stand outside in the cold playing music for anyone walking by who would spare anything for him. Look, even in this economy, life is rough. So, you know, normally I don't. Just because it's a eat or be eaten world, I gotta think about myself and my own. But because of the circumstances, I just decided to give a little bit of something. I mean, I'm not saying like $2 is a lot, but still. Look, if I could, I would fix homelessness if I had the ability to, but that's just not the world we live in now, is it? You know, speaking of which, so I had this thought in my mind. Oops. How'd that happen? You know how Walmart's whole slogan is everyday low prices? You save money by shopping at Walmart because our prices are unbeatable. Our prices are lower than the competition. Well, to that I kind of call bullshit. Like everyday low prices. No. Because the prices today were not like they were 10 years ago. So it is absolutely not everyday low prices. In fact, the price has been slowly going up every day. Oh man, for a second I thought that was it. I'm seeing things. So let's see. Yesterday night, my friends came over. My friend's birthday is tomorrow, but because everyone had time yesterday, they came over yesterday to celebrate early. we didn't watch any movie. We didn't sing any karaoke. We really just sat there and chatted the whole night. And you know, for some reason, the topic of my ex came up, and I'm just thinking, like, what the hell? Like, why is this, of all topics, coming up? Some of my friends, or one of my friends, said that some of our other friends, we're all friends, alright? It's one big group of high school friends. So a friend of mine said that all our other friends actually spotted her and said, like, she's different now. She appears different now, that she wears a lot more, like, skimpy clothing. And to me, it's like, well, I don't care. Our lives don't, we have no association anymore, so she can do whatever she wants, and doesn't affect me anymore. But it's like, damn, I kind of just can't ever move past, move on. Like, I just want to move forward with my life and just really not ever bring her up again, but that's not really the way life works, is it? Like, my friend said that they spotted her from time to time, and they see her visually appearing differently. Because when I knew her, she would not even go close to that kind of clothing. But, you know, just that idea alone, the fact that they've seen her, that frightens me, because, well, that means she's close enough to where I could potentially bump into her one day, and I think that's a very bad idea. It's probably best that we don't cross paths ever again. Because another topic that we discussed, so I was showing my friend Instagram Reels since he doesn't have Instagram anymore. You know what? Good for him. So I was sending him Reels, and then I was sending him, like, Reels about single guys, talking about being single. So one of the topics we were discussing was, if the roles were reversed, would you date yourself? If you were a girl and you knew yourself, would you date yourself? And I've already explained this before, that is a resounding no. And damn near all of my friends said, hell no, absolutely not, not a chance, no shot. One of my friends had an idea, you know, all of the quote-unquote negative aspects of ourselves as to why we would say we wouldn't date ourselves if the roles were reversed. You know, what he proposed this idea. What if the things that we think are bad about ourselves just isn't that bad to others? Like, we think they are so bad that no one would ever want us because of this? What if in reality it's not that bad, and people just don't really care? It's not a big deal. And to me, I say, oh, absolutely not. If people knew the things I've done in the past, there is no such thing as forgiveness. So my answer is still a hard no. If the roles were reversed, would I date myself? No, absolutely not. Anyway, so I don't have much to talk about today. I'm just gonna go over the Sandman episode, what is the Season 2 finale, not counting the special episode at the end. And then after that, I just don't have anything to talk about today. In fact, I was kind of thinking, once I'm done talking about the episode, I study. No, I'm not kidding. I'm kind of planning to, once I'm done going over the episode, I literally pull up my school stuff and I just go over it. Because school started on Tuesday, and right now it's Sunday, and I have not gone over the material once. And it's eating away at my conscience. Look, I really don't want to study. I don't want to be back in school. So why am I back in school? Well, like I said before, my options were job hunt or go back to school, and one of those options already failed miserably. And clearly, I can't just do nothing for the rest of my life, so it was either job hunt or go back to school and learn something else. And like I just said, one of those options already wasn't working out. Both awful options. That's just life. That's just the world we live in. So yeah, that's why I'm back in school. Not because I want to. But yeah, I even spoke to you earlier today about this. I have some sort of thing due on Tuesday, and I told you I assume it's due midnight Tuesday, but then you said you assume it could be due at 8 a.m. Tuesday, and it's like, oh shit. See, this is what happens when the course is a do-it-yourself. No professor to teach you, no weekly lecture to attend. All the material is there, do it yourself. Yeah, I'm the last person to enable all that power to. You know, honestly, it's just one class at the moment. I don't even know if I'm gonna do the rest of the whole program. So, let's say I do fail, which would be a pretty big feat on its own. The fact that I failed when all the material was right there and I could just do it at my own pace. But knowing me, that's not out of the realm of possibility, so off chance I actually do fail, it's like, well, so what? Even if I were to do the rest of it, it's like, But yeah. Oh, how badly I wish I could Doctor Strange astral project myself and study while my body is sleeping. Although knowing me, I would probably just game with all that free time as well. I tell myself if I had that power, you would game all day, you would study all night. Oh, hell no. Knowing me, I would just game 24 hours a day. Let's see. Tomorrow is once again Monday, so I have to wake up early. And then, due to some more bullshittery, I cannot come home to rest. Nope. I gotta continue staying out. And then, guess what? Tuesday, I get the privilege of the ability to stay home as it's quote-unquote a school day. You know? You know, Tuesdays weren't always my day off from work. So, now that Tuesday is the day that I stay home, And it just so happened to be the day that my classes, my quote-unquote classes, take place. My family's like, well, perfect! You get to do that while you're home. And it's like, wow. I get the luxury, the privilege of doing schoolwork on the day that I meant to stay home. How nice. You know, it's not like I get to stay home and relax, game, watch shows. Even though, let's face it, I do that anyways instead of studying. You know what's one thing I've actually considered just putting on the side as I actually should study? So you know that I'm working on my Pokemon Alpha Dex. That sentence exudes so much loser energy, does it not? Anyways. So yeah, I'm working on my Alpha Dex, and something that will take an absurd amount of time are the fossils in Legends Arceus. So the fossils and a handful of others. Remember, I tried shiny hunting for those at one point, and it failed miserably, and I gave up. Now, you know me, I don't give up on shiny hunts that often. So either I'm unmotivated, or the hunt was just that terrible, I just couldn't follow through with it. Which, a hunt has to be really bad for me to not follow through with it. I'm the kind of guy who would even be willing to do the Manaphy hunt. But I just don't have the tools to do so. Anyways, so, yeah. The fossils and a handful of others in Legends Arceus only appear in the STDs, the space-time distortions. And when you go to one location on the map, you're guaranteed to get one within 40 minutes. So I feel like I should just leave my Switch on for at least 40 minutes. Every time a distortion happens, I check. No? Great. Wait another 40 minutes. I would do that, but... And also... I kind of just don't want to touch my game until I'm done with a certain project that I have planned. But I kind of need Tornadus to be shiny for that, as well as the other two. So until I get Tornadus, Thundurus, and Landorus shiny, I kind of don't want to touch my Legends Arceus game. I kind of just want to leave it untouched, leave it where it is, so I can continue on. Like, so there's no tampering whatsoever. And speaking of shiny Thundurus, today in Pokemon Go was Grookey Community Day. I'll be honest, I didn't really care for this. I don't really care for any of the Galar starters. But a community day is a community day. My biggest goal for community days isn't necessarily a shundo. Even though that'd be nice, that's more so wishful thinking. You know, during community days, I just want at least one good IV shiny. That's all I ask. Just one. What's a good IV shiny? At least 3-star. That'd be nice. Doesn't matter if it's like a 10, 10, 15, or like a 13, 13, 13. As long as it's a 3-star, at least as long as I get just one shiny 3-star, I'll be happy. And, well, I got exactly that. Today, I got 16 shiny Grookeys, and only one of them was a 3-star. So, well, it's a no-brainer which one I'm going to evolve into a shiny Rillaboom. So today, on Grookey Community Day, I got 16 shiny Grookeys, and one shiny Thundurus from a raid. You know, for the past week, I wasn't able to do any raids. Just because nobody joined. And clearly, I'm not good enough to solo the raids myself. It was just legendary raids, shadow legendary raids. No one was joining. I tried to go online to see if anyone would remote join. Nobody did. So for like a whole week, I wasn't able to do any raids. And no, before you ask, I tried, but there actually just wasn't any 1-star raids spawning around me. So for the past week, I wasn't able to raid just because no one was joining. And then today, wow, no surprise, because it's the weekend, I did like 4 raids today, eating up a good number of my premium raid passes. But you know what? It's okay. I got a shiny Thundurus with a premium raid pass, so it's all fine. So, take a look at this. I finally got the special scan that gets me Rotom. So after I'm done catching Rotom for not only my regular, but also Alpha Dex, only thing left will be the Gimme Ghoul line, and then I've completed the Pokédex. You know the last time I tried to make a donut for a specific purpose? Where are the appliances? You do a side mission to get the manual. To get the pamphlet. So anyways, the last time I tried to make a donut for a specific purpose, I just kept on getting Sparkling Electric. And I didn't need Sparkling Electric. I'm just like, why is the game giving me so many Sparkling Electrics? I did not keep any of them. So now, I'm trying to get a Sparkling Electric donut, and wow, I just can't seem to get one. Because look at the donuts I've made in the process of trying to get an electric sparkling. I got this Sparkling Power Fighting level 3. I'm saving this for one of the Swords of Justice. I got Sparkling Steel level 3, Alpha level 2. I'm gonna use this for a shiny Alpha Beldum. I got this, and I figured it was too good to throw away, so I just kept it. I don't really have any other dragon types to hunt besides Latias and Latios, but then I wouldn't want to waste the level 3 Alpha Power for that. So maybe I'll use this to complete the Gibble line. Let's see, I also got this. I'll probably use this for a shiny Alpha Gardevoir. And this one, I just got another Fighting level 3. So another one I'm gonna save for one of the Swords of Justice. It's like, I'm getting all these donuts I can use for other things, but I just can't get the one that I'm actually trying to go for right now, which is an electric type. But yet, when I tried beforehand and I wasn't going for it, I just could not stop getting electric type donuts. Anyway, shall we go over the season finale to The Sandman Season 2? What is the season finale? But remember, there's a special episode at the end. And given that none of the characters from Dead Boy Detective showed up in this episode, I'm gonna guess one shows up in the special episode after this. Which makes sense. The special episode revolves around death. So it seems like, well, obviously we're not following Dream anymore. He's dead. So it seems like the special episode we're gonna follow death. So it kind of makes sense. One of the Dead Boy Detective characters will show up. You know, I don't know who. I kind of get the feeling it might be Edwin who shows up. You know, now that the shows are over, it's kind of crazy that it's just a 3-season arc, even if it wasn't meant to be. So you have Sandman Season 1, Dead Boy Detectives, 1 and only season, and Sandman Season 2. And that's it. Just the 3 seasons. It wasn't meant to be like this, but this is what we got. Dead Boy Detectives was supposed to have more, but then it was canceled. And Sandman ended with Season 2. They decided Season 2 will be it. See, look at this shit. I just got electric power level 2, but at no alpha. That's not what I want. Given how rare Rotom is, I'm gonna seize this opportunity, and I'm gonna get myself a shiny alpha. I did the same thing with Surfetched and Hisuian Quillfish. Even though those weren't special scans, they still took a long time to find. Alright, so Sandman Season 2, episode, I think it's 11? This episode was primarily a funeral episode, a goodbye episode to Morpheus. Now, I don't have the episode pulled up in front of me, because I can't for some reason on the computer. So I'm just gonna have to go based off of memory. You have to think, poor Daniel Hall. Because what a position to be in. He was literally a baby 1 day ago, and now he's a grown adult who is basically a god. He had no time to grow up, experience life, learn. No, he went from 0 to 100 on the spot. I mean, I think back to the lines that Dr. Frankenstein said in Creature Commandos. The bride, she came from nothing to something in an instant. A newborn has 9 months inside the womb, connect with the mother, hear about things. Well, you know, hear from the outside world, learn about senses, but no, not the bride. She came from nothing to something on the spot. So I imagine that's what Daniel Hall went through. He was a baby, and then he became Dream of the Endless. Anyways, so this episode revolves around a funeral for Morpheus. Everyone is weary of Daniel being the new Dream since he's not Morpheus. Everyone has come to love Morpheus, not Daniel. And it's kind of weird. In a way, Morpheus is still here, but not really, since Daniel Hall has the previous Dream's memories. But that's not the same. He's not the same person. So I'm just going to gloss over the episode since I can't go into too fine detail since I don't have it pulled up in front of me. So the service inside of the palace is going to happen soon, and as they're awaiting all the guests to show up, Daniel, or, you know, the new Dream of the Endless, he goes and does a couple of things. Well, we first see that Cain, he seeks an audience with the new Dream Lord, and he demands that the new Dream recreates his brother, because under like a literal paper contract that he has with his predecessor, Cain is to be a pair with Dream. You know, it's Cain and Abel, but Abel was killed. So Dream, the new Dream, does just that. He actually recreates Abel. Lucien is a little shocked that he was able to do that. You know, Lucien's like, you were able to bring him back? Almost as if she wanted to ask, would you be able to bring Morpheus back? And in a way, technically he would be able to. Because remember, when Morpheus went off against Azazel, Morpheus did say that in his realm of the dreaming, reality bends to whatever he desires. So here, in the dreaming, Daniel Hall should be able to do whatever he wants. And if he wants to bring back the previous dream, he absolutely can. It's all within his power. But first, he brings back Cain. He brings back... Wait, no, I shouldn't say that yet. He goes through some of old Dream's belongings and finds a little container of seeds. So he goes outside, plants the seeds, and from those seeds grows a pumpkin. And I'm surprised he actually had to carve out the face by hand, but whatever. He carves out the face on the pumpkin and actually brings back Mervyn. So Mervyn's alive again, so that's 2 of 3 that Hippolyta killed. There was only 1 left. So he actually does bring back Fiddler's Green, but Gilbert, he's not very pleased. He's not a fan that he was brought back. He actually wishes to stay dead, just because that was his end. If he was brought back, then his story would have meant nothing. His beginning, his story, because, you know, every story has an ending. And he actually convinces Daniel not to bring back the previous dream, because he probably would not have wanted it like that. Because Morpheus' story was the fact that he died out of love for his son. The fact that he killed his son meant that he pretty much ended his own life because he spilled family blood. So if he were to be brought back, then that absolutely would have meant nothing. So nobody straight up asked Daniel Hall to bring back Morpheus. He had the idea, though, but, he was convinced not to. So we see our characters, the characters that we've met throughout the show, appear in the palace, ready for Dream's funeral. We see Joanna Constantine show up, we see Hob Gadling show up, which it was pretty sad for Hob, you know. This person that he's known for 600 years is gone. The only friend he had, who accompanied him throughout all those centuries. Mad Hetty was there. Some other faces that were a little bit surprising they'd show up. Kind of like Alex Burgess, he showed up as well as his husband. Whatever his name was. Paul, was it? We even saw Nada show up. It's like, why are some of these characters at Dream's funeral? Well, Lucien said it would be people who were friends with him and people who would celebrate him being gone. You know, although they didn't have speaking lines, we did see in attendance a couple of other characters. We saw Thor. I don't think I saw Odin. There was obviously no Loki. I'm surprised Lucifer didn't show up. Given how big Lucifer was in Dream's entire story throughout the 2 seasons. We see later on one face that I can't believe actually returned. In one of the attendees was Richard Maddock, played by Arthur Darvill. I saw him, I'm like, who did he play again? Oh right, he played Richard Maddock in the special episode in season 1. He literally returned just to sit there. He had no speaking lines. I completely forgot he was even in the show. They had him for just the briefest of cameos. Anyway, so for the ceremony, according to law, I guess, in a way, Dream, or Daniel, is forbidden to meet with the rest of the family until after the ceremony. So, Daniel will not be attending the funeral himself. So, you know, instead of attending the funeral, he goes and revives some of the characters. So, the rest of the family has arrived. The rest of the Endless. All except Destruction. So, all of them show up. Destiny even offers for Lucienne to speak on behalf of, you know, just to say some words. And she would be honored to. But Matthew, he refuses to, because everything he would have said, everything he needed to say, he said to him. You know, it actually is pretty sad to see Desire. The fact that they actually seem pretty sad that their brother is gone. Because all of us knew, everyone knew that Desire swore that they would make Dream spill family blood. And we know what that means. You spill family blood, you are marked for death. Because spilling family blood is forbidden. So, Desire is sad, not only because they weren't the one to initiate Dream striking or, you know, spilling family blood, but also the fact that their brother is gone. So just as the ceremony is about to start, Hippolyta actually shows up, wanting to know where her son is. But because this is still a service being held at the moment, she sits down. Rose Walker is there as well. Rose Walker played damn near no part in Season 2. She was a pretty big player in Season 1. Season 2, she is a glorified cameo. So anyways, as the ceremony is going on, our characters, they have some words to say. Desire, while doing a pretty bad job, still, Desire does their best in their own way, which is insulting Dream at the same time as admitting you're going to miss infuriating, Jesus Christ, your brother. It's kind of interesting, when Despair went up to the altar to say some words, she reveals that she is also a predecessor. Wait, no, she is a successor. She had a predecessor too. There was a previous Despair. So a big theme throughout the episode was the fact that over time, everyone will forget about Morpheus. They will completely forget about him. You know how much time will need to pass for that to be the case? Because he has a replacement now. Daniel Hall, the new dream of the Endless. Enough time will pass to the point that everyone will forget about Morpheus. Everyone, absolutely everyone. And Despair even makes a point to say that her predecessor, the current Despair, is probably the only one who thought about her in the last, 10,000 years? You know, it's kind of interesting to think that the Endless can be replaced. You know, it's not like if one of them dies or if one of them is gone, then the entire concept they represent just falls apart. I mean, we literally see Destruction leave his post and, well, the very concept of Destruction plays out just fine. Speaking of Destruction, he actually does show up to the palace. Not to attend the funeral, but to meet with his brand new brother. Give him some points, some tips, or pointers, I should say. You know, once again, poor Daniel. Throughout the episode, we see that he absolutely is clueless on what he's doing. You know, he came from nothing to holding the entire collective unconscious. Sure, he has help, and sure, he has his predecessor's memories, but you're still unsure of what you're doing. But yeah, Destruction does his best to give his new little brother some pointers. And while he prefers that the rest of the family doesn't know that he was there. Kind of wish they made Destruction look the same. He had a beard now, a pretty thick beard, so I kind of wish they made him look the same, but whatever. Did anything else happen? Oh, that's right. Lucienne actually wants to leave and move on, since she was really only here for Morpheus. But now that Morpheus is gone, Lucienne thinks that maybe it's time that she moves on as well. But not before finding Daniel a replacement librarian to help him. Throughout the episode, we also see Corinthian kind of have, like, baby doll eyes towards Joanna Constantine. And, goddamn, this girl really plays hard to get. Oh yeah, it was also kind of cool to see Rose Walker and Corinthian reunite, given their history during Season 1. But, you know, rest assured, this is a different Corinthian. He's much nicer than the first one. But still, honestly, Rose Walker did damn near nothing this season. After the service, Corinthian and Constantine, they meet up, and she basically just says, okay, how will this work? Will I only see you in my dreams, despite you being a nightmare? Well, she doesn't care that he's a nightmare, considering the fact that she said herself, all the men she's dated have been nightmares, and most of the women. So they kiss, so good for them. Good for you, Corinthian. Damn, you scored yourself a baddie, not gonna lie. Shiny and 17. Wouldn't that be nice? So we see this very kind of Shakespearean send-off for Dream, where he's sailing down in a boat. He's sailing down in a boat, and the helm of the boat actually has, well, his helmet. We see him standing on top of the bridge, an Avengers Endgame style funeral where all our characters gather. So the Endless, Hobgadling, Constantine, you know, majority of the main characters. And his send-off kind of looks like what they did in Thor the Dark World with Frigga. So the boat goes off the end and, well, Dream's body kind of just falls into the universe and just becomes one with existence. Well, he's really gone. It's sad. Hippolyta does meet up with Daniel. She kind of just sulks around the palace until she finds a throne room. Once she does, you know, Daniel once again reassures her that he is no longer her son. All of the mortality was burned away, and what remains is Dream of the Endless. Daniel almost seems mad at his quote-unquote mother, because, you know, her actions did kind of lead to his predecessor's death. But you have to keep in mind, too, that Hippolyta, she's a victim in all this, too. She lost her husband, and now she's also lost her son. So Daniel, looking through his predecessor's memories, realizes, you're right. You did suffer enough. And instead of punishing her, just asks for her forgiveness and vows that she need no longer suffer. She will see him again in her dreams, which, you know, is the best that she can ask for at this point. You know, I was kind of wondering, would Daniel even embrace her as his mother? Technically, he should. Because everyone points out that this character, Daniel, is the first human to become an Endless. Anyway, so yeah, some of our characters kind of want to stick together as they move on with their lives. So Lucien, Matthew, and Nuala, they all want to stick together as they venture out into the waking world. But Merv, I don't know, he kind of has taken a liking to this new dream. He kind of wants to stay behind. Ugh. I'm thinking, what else happened? Oh, right, Hobgadling. Hobgadling has a conversation with Death, where she actually offers him, are you ready? Hobgadling, you know, throughout his 650 years being on Earth, he's experienced it all, seen it all, felt it all. But no, he's not ready to die yet. In fact, he doesn't think he will ever be ready to die. Hobgadling does meet up with Daniel. You know, while as sad it is for Hob to see his friend gone, a part of Hob does know that his friend is still there, because this new dream of the Endless, has a hint of him, has his memories, and offers him the same thing. If in 100 years you want to have a drink, I'm sure I'll be around still. Damn, poor Hob Gadling. He has outlived all of his friends, his wives, his children, and now even freaking Dream of the Endless. Poor Hob Gadling. There was a line when Death was giving her, her words up at the altar. She reveals that Dream, in private, told her that he has no story. He longs for a purpose outside of his duties. Because outside of his duties, he has no story. And I'm just like, bullshit. The last 2 seasons, you've had more story than any of the Endless. Then again, he was the main character. Despite being the Prince of Stories, he had no story of his own. But now he does. And if you want to remember him, then tell his story. Like, damn, this episode was morbid. Enough time, all of us will be forgotten. Yeah, that's a fact. It will happen to all of us. Give enough time, we will all be forgotten from this world. But it's kind of even more morbid in the show, considering he flat out has a replacement. Like a legitimate replacement. And to say that over time, the memory of the predecessor will fade to the point you won't even remember him. It's like, really? You know how absurd of an amount of time that would have to be for that to be the case? And like, at the end of the episode, when Lucien finally tells Daniel, it's time to meet the rest of your family, so they all sit down and have a meal together, they are smiling, they're giddy. Like, damn, they weren't ever this happy when Morpheus was still alive. And they are welcoming him with open arms. It's like, wow, they moved on fast. And wouldn't that be so weird that your brother died, but then you have a replacement? And you're welcoming him? Like, welcome, brother. Please join us. Let us get to meet and know each other better. It's like, you just lost your brother and you're immediately just welcoming a replacement, like instantly. And supposedly, a single day has passed. Your brother died yesterday, and you're already welcoming a replacement. I mean, you kind of have no choice. He's already there, and his sole purpose for existing is being his replacement. But still, the fact that you, over time, will forget all about him, it's like, that is insane. So, this episode has a post-credit scene that kind of doesn't mean anything. We see the kindly ones open another fortune cookie, and that fortune kind of doesn't lead to anything because they just burn it in the candle. Oh, but there is one more scene, actually. Not a post-credit scene. So Hob Gadling does ask the new Dream. He never did. Morpheus was the one who inspired William Shakespeare. But he never did tell Hop why he had Shakespeare, why he commissioned a play about mortals. So we actually do get a flashback to just that. Why Morpheus wanted William Shakespeare to write him a play. And this is the only time we see Tom Sturridge in the episode as Dream, in this flashback. So as a thank you to William Shakespeare, he gives him wine inside of his house, which is, his palace in the dreaming. Dream's answer as to why he wanted the play to be commissioned is basically like a story on how he won't ever change because he's not a man. Men change over time, but because Dream is not a man per se, he won't change. But that's wrong. He very much did change. Dream even looks to the side as if he was looking at Daniel in the future. I don't know. It was a very kind of Attack on Titan moment where Grisha was able to see Zeke in the future. I don't know, unless you're telling me it was a huge coincidence he just happened to look that direction for no reason. Because technically, during that time, in the flashback, yeah, he did. He did turn his head and look that direction for no reason. I don't know, Dream isn't exactly Pennywise, where yesterday, tomorrow, it's all the same for him, where his consciousness just exists not in one particular moment in time. It's not exactly how it works for Dream of the Endless. I feel like I'm missing some details, but whatever. There you go, The Sandman Season 2. It was a great show while it lasted. It was filled with woke elements, yeah. But you know what? The story and the acting in particular, was so good, I'm willing to overlook it. Although, damn, imagine how good it would have been if it was free from any woke crap. This 3-season arc. Imagine if all 3 of these seasons had no woke bullshit whatsoever. I mean, I would have accepted Edwin being gay for Charles. Like, I would have accepted that and only that. But everything else is just like, wow, that was a lot. You know, there was indeed a lot of woke stuff in this show. But the show was so good, I'm willing to overlook it. So how has everyone been? I really don't want to study. I really don't want to. You know, I have the opportunity to look over the material every single day, but I just keep on finding reasons not to, and then look at that, the whole day is gone. And the next day is gone. And the next day is gone, and the next day is gone. You know, has anyone else been seeing this? I've been seeing a lot of people online post 10 years ago. Like, post what they look like 10 years ago. And I don't know why this year in particular everyone started doing this. Not any of the other years, but this year in particular, people have started to post what they were up to, what they looked like 10 years ago. Now, me personally, I found a picture of myself. I don't know when it was taken, but I have to assume it was around 10 years ago. And looking back at what I looked like back then, it's like, holy shit. I aged like absolute sour milk. I don't look anything like I did 10 years ago. But I tell you, I looked better 10 years ago. I did not age gracefully whatsoever. Oh, you want to know what else? Earlier today, I was walking around, and I swore I saw this guy I knew from high school, but I didn't talk to him. I didn't approach him. I didn't say hi. He was with some other people, so I decided not to step up and go talk to him. And he looked so different. His face was the same, but he now has a beard. His hair is all grown out, like really long too. It's amazing I even recognized him behind all of that man bush. But for the life of me, I cannot remember his name. I think it started with like a D, maybe it was like Drew. I can't remember his name. I feel like it might have been Drew, but then I feel like it might not have been as well. I mean, only characteristics I can really describe of him was he was a white guy at our high school and he had a relatively deep voice. You know, I chatted with him from time to time. He was a cool guy. But yeah, he looks so different. It's amazing I even recognized him. People do be like that. Damn, I really wish I remembered his name. I would go through our high school yearbook, but I kind of don't want to look back. I mean, there was only so many white guys in our grade during high school. I can really only think of like a handful. Well, a deal's a deal. I finished talking about the show. So, let me actually pull up my schoolwork and go over it. It's such a hassle pulling it up too, because I gotta log into my school account, and then I gotta log into another school account. It's like, it's such a hassle. I don't know why this class, this program, does it so differently. Then again, I've only taken one other program. Where it's not the school's portal itself I gotta log into to access the information. No, I gotta log into the school's learning, like, student hub website, whatever. And then I gotta log into another one to access it. The most it's so annoying considering. Oh my god. School during stream. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time I studied while I did this. I did that during Tears of the Kingdom. I rehearsed the stuff that, you know, I needed to do for my exam. But anyways, so I gotta log in, and then I gotta log in again, and the most annoying part is the fact that I gotta constantly log in all the time if, you know, I'm inactive. And that's so annoying. I understand the whole stupid thing, like, you know, you don't want to be logged in the entire time, because what if someone gets their hands on your login information? They could tamper with your stuff. At that point, I'm like, who cares? It's school. This isn't my bank information. It's school. Who cares? Oh, by the way, I can literally view roster. There's an option here that says view roster, which is view the names of everyone in this class. And it's literally me and 2 other people. So it kind of seems like this semester, it's literally just us 3 students taking this class. Geez, no wonder there's no professor teaching it. No wonder it's all do-it-yourself. There's literally 3 students, which is actually 1 more than I thought. The last time I checked this, there was only 2. Me and 1 other person. Ah, I see. I see 1 other student, a very much white name, and then another one that is very much not a white name. And there is absolutely nothing here. Calendar, nothing put on it. Announcements, nothing. Discussions, nothing. I mean, then again, it's only been 1 week, but still, no announcements, no anything. Everything, it's all just, here you go, do it all yourself. Like, I also gotta log into my email in order to access the other website, to access the course material, which you already know I hate going into my email. It's partially why I almost failed college the first time, because I just did not check my emails. I did not do the stuff in my emails. So the last email I got on my school email was 6 days ago, so clearly there was no updates. Nothing in junk email either. Like, could they not make it more complicated? Why is it so complex for me to access my stuff? Hold on, let me look once again. Let's see. Course timeline. Week 1, study sessions 1 and 3. Week 2, complete discussion exercise 1, due by the 25th. The 25th? Oh, I thought it was due on Tuesday, which was the 20th. No, I have until the 25th to procrastinate. Alright, let's see. Let's go over my due dates. January 25th, today being the 18th. January 25th, I have complete discussion exercise 1. And then, due February 15th, complete discussion exercise 2. February 22nd, submit case study 1, 12.5%. Online midterm, 25%, March 1st. Let's see, March 8th, complete discussion exercise 3. Man, I'm stressing over nothing. I still have a whole week to go over the material and actually hand in my stuff. But yeah, I see throughout the weeks of this course, it's really just study this stuff yourself and hand in these case studies or complete discussion exercises by these due dates. It literally even says right here, final week. Online final exam, 40%, due April 21st, 11:59 p.m. Online final exams, April 15th to 21st. April 15th to 21st, so I have like damn near a whole week to do the exam. But I also see here in very yellow bolded text, all discussion exercises must be completed by the due date shown above. The total of the discussion assignments is worth 10% of your final grade and is based on participation in all of the discussions. The 4 best discussion exercises will comprise your mark. Discussion exercises will not be accepted after week 13, which is after the final exam. I mean, that makes sense. Case studies must be completed by the due date shown above, or late penalties of 10% will apply. Case studies will not be accepted. Oh, same thing after week 13. So I still have time. There's no online quiz, no anything. Just hand in the stuff on time and get the midterms and final exam done on time. Once again, you got me fucked up if you think I'm paying $250 for the textbook. That is like 95% of how much it costs to take the course. Wow, there's literally a folder that's labeled quizzes, tests, and exams. Right here in the folder is literally the midterm and the final exam. Oh, anyways, where the hell is the first one? Let's see. Man, the first study, the first study thing is 70 slides. Now, that may seem like a big number, but remember, these are slides. So there are small amounts of text, as well as the fact that some of the slides are just pictures. Anyway, so to prove to you guys that I have this in front of me, let's go over it. Let's go over my schoolwork, because that's fun. All right, slide number 1, plumbing inspection. Key to success: broad technical knowledge, good reasoning abilities, well-developed interpersonal skills, have an interest in houses and how things work, good communication skills. Okay. Slide number 3. The ASHI standards of practice. What is ASHI? ASHI? What are the standards of practice? A brief overview of the standards. And there's little bullet notes here. You will only introduce the standard here and make some comments about it. Tell the class what they will be looking at in more detail in study session 1 of their first assignment. I feel like that's more notes for the teacher, whatever. Alright, so who is ASHI, or what is ASHI? The American Society of Home Inspectors, the largest organization of home inspectors in North America. The standards of practice. Designed to protect both the client and the home inspector. Describes what the inspector is required to inspect. Describes what the inspector is not required to inspect. Describe what the inspector must include in the report. And there's a note here. The textbook talks about the general standards as they relate to what you are expected / not expected to inspect around plumbing systems. The text of the standard is found in the Communications and Professional Practice book. You can also find it online. A minimum standard. This standard establishes a baseline. You should not be covering at least the standards. There are areas where you should exceed the standards. The standards are not intended to limit the inspector. Wow, I'm learning so much. Explain... Wait, there's these bullets here. Explain how a client might ask to exceed standard practice. Standard does not require inspectors to enter crawl spaces or attics. However, they do require us to report on how we inspected the crawl space or attic. In other words, you will have to report whether or not you did inspect these areas and why. Reasons we couldn't enter may be access is blocked. You might damage the property. It might be dangerous. However, different inspectors may have different impressions of what obstructed access is, for example. If you simply have to move a board or unscrew a panel, then many inspectors may consider this normal routine and would be exceeding the standards. Most would not do it. We would do it as long as removing the panel didn't damage the finishes and we were confident we could get it back on. We would be exceeding the standards. The reason we do it is we find lots of problems in crawl spaces, so we do our best to get in them. Okay. Whew, I'm only on slide 7 out of 70. No wonder I didn't want to go over this. Visual inspection. The standards explain that we are doing a visual, non-destructive inspection. It aligns our client's expectations with the service provided. Maybe your client thinks you will dig down and look at the footings or cut into the drywall to see joists and wiring. Don't forget, your client does not own the house yet. And the bullets here, your client may not know what an inspection is or what to expect from the inspection. Often the expectations are much higher than the standard, but at the same time, clients are usually impressed when they attend the inspections. Policies for getting the client to acknowledge the standards may vary. For example, at Carson Dunlap, we send them a copy of the standard prior to the inspection and have an authorization from faxed back to us. Your client may not have the same expectations as the standards that may cause the problem. I.e., if there is 2 feet of snow on the roof during the inspection, it is going to be difficult to access the condition of the roof. Your client may expect a report on the roof condition when you arrive at the house. If you let them know you can't do it, Your client may feel like they are not getting what they paid for. You have several choices to make. Come back another day. Reduce the fee. Do nothing and tell them there is limitations to any inspections and nobody would be able to inspect the roof on a day like today. The ASHI standards. Plumbing. Inspect. The interior water supply and distribution systems, including all fixtures and faucets. The drain, waste, and vent systems, including all fixtures. The water heating equipment. The vent systems, flues, and chimneys. The drainage sumps, sump pumps, and related piping. Describe. The water supply, drain, waste, and vent piping materials, the water heating equipment including energy source, the location of main water and main fuel shutoff valves. These are descriptions that must be written in the report, i.e. copper, plastic, cast iron, etc. Report on significant deficient systems or components or near the end of their service life. A reason why, if not evident, why the system or component is significantly deficient. The inspector's recommendations to correct or monitor the reported deficiency. Reports on any items that were not inspected and why they were not inspected. What's wrong? Why is it wrong? And why should the client... and what should the client do about it? So, not required to inspect. The closed washing machine connections, the interiors of flues or chimneys which are not readily accessible, wells, well pumps, or water storage related equipment, water conditioning systems, solar water heating systems, fire and lawn sprinkler systems, private waste disposal systems. Occasionally, a client is surprised that you are not inspecting the water softener system, etc. Not required to determine whether the supply and waste disposal systems are public or private, the quantity or quality of water disposal. Not required to operate safety valves or shut-off valves. Determining is a house... if a house is on public or private waste systems is often difficult. There's some spelling errors here. Shut-off valves shouldn't be touched. They often leak if not used for long periods of time, and never turn on a valve that has been shut off. The notes on the scope in the first study session of your textbook talk about standards as they relate to plumbing. Okay. Standards of care. There are two standards you will have to meet. Standard of practice, standard of care. What is the standard of care? The standard of care is what is done in your profession, regardless of the actual written standard. Wow. Our approach. All of our course materials are in compliance with common standards. Your textbook is also designed to teach in a logical, progressive way. What is it? Name and description. What does it do? Function. What is it made of? Materials/components. What does it look like? Appearance/location. Your textbook comply with general standards and will teach in logical progressive way just as if you were at an actual home inspection. The textbooks talk about general standards of practice, but the communication and professional practice has the full ASHI and CAPI standards, CHAPI standards. Our approach, continued. Number 5, how does it work? Operating sequence/details. What can go wrong? Non-performance. What causes the problem? Why did it break? What are the implications of problems? What happens if it doesn't do its job? How do I find out if it's doing its job? This is the home inspection expert part. What do I tell my client? The report. Oh, I'm only 17 out of 70 slides. Alright, supply plumbing system goals and performance. Oh god, there's a lot to read here. And a lot to read here. Oh jeez, there is so much to read. System goals. Lots of clean water available, hot water available, get rid of the waste, supply and waste kept separate. Plumbing is news in brackets. Plumbing systems are relatively new. Indoor plumbing systems have only been around for about 100 years. Like most things we've only been doing for 100 years, residential plumbing systems are not perfect. Our challenge is to identify the ones that are most likely to be troublesome. In bracket, want lots of hot and cold clean water. The goal of the plumbing system is to have lots of clean water instantly available for drinking, washing, and cooking at several points in the house. Get rid of dirty water and waste in brackets. Getting clean water into the house isn't enough. We also want to get rid of the waste. This includes water left over from washing and cooking and human waste. We don't need to go into detail, but there is solid, liquid, and gas waste. Just as we wanted to have the clean water instantly available, we want to get rid of the waste very quickly. We have to be careful not to make people sick, so we need to get the waste out of the house in a closed system and keep it from mixing with the incoming clean water. In brackets, check for enough water and no leaks. The plumbing part of a home inspection should be fairly easy. Our job is to make sure the clean water comes into the house where we want it, when we want it, and in large enough quantities to be useful. On the waste side, we have to make sure that the bad stuff is collected and leaves the house completely and permanently. Leaks on the supply or the water side are bad news. Ugh. Health hazard. Like most things, the concept is simple, but the practice is more complex. Throughout this section, we'll explain how things work and address the things that home inspectors should be looking out for. Or just looking for, there was no out. The plumbing inspection is important because when things go wrong, some damage to other parts of the house usually occurs. In bracket, nobody likes to have running water around the house out of control. And problems on the waste side can present a significant health hazard. The source. Municipal supply system or private system, what can go wrong? Leaks, not enough water, dirty water. Alright, so the source, in bracket, public or private water supply. The source of water for a house is either a municipal supply system or a private system such as a well and pump. Private systems can also be from lakes, ponds, rivers, cisterns, etc. For the most part, the sources are very similar, and an investigation of the sources is beyond the scope of a professional home inspector. Appreciate that ban, by the way. Either the municipal or private water supply system is assumed to provide us with a continuous supply of clean water at a relatively constant pressure. Since the municipal system is more common, let's use that as our example. Isn't this boring, you guys hearing me go over my school notes? I can't imagine this is very entertaining. You know, it's not like I'm talking about shows. But, hey, it's proof that I'm actually going over the material. I could just sit here in silence and read it to myself, but then you would never know if I was actually doing this or if I was watching videos on the side. So in brackets, water delivered. Through a wonderful series of pipes, pumps, and something big, tall gravity tanks, the municipality is able to deliver the water right to our front door, right to your front door. All we do is open the tap and use it. So what could possibly go wrong? Bolded. What can go wrong? There are 3 things that can go wrong. Number 1, leaks. Sometimes we get water when or where we don't want it. We call these leaks. They really bolded that too. They range from an annoying dripping faucet to a split pipe that floods the house. Number 2, not enough water. The second thing that goes wrong is when we don't get enough water. People are often confused by this condition. Some say they don't have enough pressure. Others say they don't have enough flow. And still others say they don't have enough volume. There are all different ways of saying the same thing. From a practical standpoint, if you're having a shower when somebody flushes the toilet and you don't have water at the shower anymore, there is a supply problem. Sometimes you just run out of cold water when the toilet flushes and get scalded. Sometimes you run out of hot water. Neither of these make you happy. We'll call these flow/pressure problems. Water supply, pressure, and flow. Factors affecting supply of water: pipe size, smoothness and number of elbows, available static pressure, height of travel, pressure measure in pounds per square inch, bracket PSI, flow measure in gallons per minute, bracket GPM. Man, I'm giving you guys all this study stuff for free while I had to pay like a couple $100 to access this. Never mind the actual textbook, which I'm not buying. Alright, concentrate on 5 items reducing water flow. Normally, a number of these items act together to reduce pressure or flow. Water supply, pressure, and flow. We hate formulas, and we don't like graphs any better, so let's get through this without too much of either. It literally says that right here. That's what it says word for word. Bracket, factors affecting water supply. The amount of water that we have available at the tap depends on several things, including how big the pipe is, how smooth the inside of the pipe is, how straight the pipe is, how hard it is being pushed from behind, bracket, what's the static pressure. 3. How much water we are trying to move, bracket, what flow are we looking for, in gallons per minute? 4. Are we pushing it uphill? How high? The water supply for any fixture in any house cannot be described just in terms of pressure, bracket, in pounds per square inch or kilopascals. Volume, bracket, gallons or liters, or flow rate, bracket, gallons per minute or liters per second. It is best described as a simple graph that looks something like this. And next slide literally has a graph. Factors affecting supply of water. More water, less water. You know, by the way, because this is all this is all just a slideshow, I can just download, I can literally send this to anyone, and anyone could just have free info on their water supply system. I guess I would be the sacrificial lamb who actually paid to do this course, and then anyone else can literally have free access to the information. Anyway, so yeah, this graph is just saying, I can't even describe this graph. Oh my god, I see numbers here and I don't like it. Very important to understand this concept. Compare flow rate with 10 psi for 1/2 pipe versus 3/4 pipe. 3/4 pipe allows for additional, roughly 5 GPM with the same static pressure. The greater the flow, the lower the pressure. When there is no water flowing, there will be lots of pressure ready to push water out of the pipe. As we open the tap and water starts to flow, the pressure will be reduced. The more you open the tap, the more water flows. Note, the flow is a rate, usually measured in gallons per minute. The more water that flows, the lower the pressure will drop. The rate at which pressure drops as flow increases establishes the profile for the water supply to the tap. A flatter curve is better because the flow increases without losing much pressure. Steep curves are bad. The steeper the curve, the worse it is. As soon as we start to flow a little water, we lose pressure very quickly. When the pressure drops down to 0, the water will just trickle out of the tap or stop flowing altogether. At the same flow rate, higher pressure results in smaller pipe. Generally, the less steep the curve is, it has better performance. So, water supply, pressure, and flow. At constant pressure, different flow rate for pipe size. At constant flow rate, higher pressure for smaller pipe size. The greater the flow, the lower the pressure for a given system. Man, what a mistake it was for me to take this class. What a mistake it was to go back to school. At the same elevation, you will have the same pressure at 2 points in the pipe if there is no water flow. There's a graph here, by the way, or a diorama. Static pressure. Let's talk about two different kinds of pressure. Static pressure is the pressure exerted by the water on the walls of the pipe when no water is flowing. There will be no flow as long as the taps are closed. Assuming that the pipe is horizontal, no matter where you measure the static pressure along that pipe, you will have the same pressure reading. If the pressure was 60 psi, pounds per square inch, where the pipe first came into the house, it would also be a 60 psi right at the back of the house. In reality, friction affects pressure loss in pipes. 1/2 inches? There's two little symbols there. I should probably know what that means. A half pipe will lose 7 psi over 100 feet. Pressure drops along the pipe length where flow remains the same. In brackets, pressure loss due to friction. Once water starts to flow, the water moving through the pipe uses some of its energy to push past the pipe's surface, no matter how smooth the pipe is. This consumes energy and reduces the pressure available to push water out of the end of the pipe. This pressure loss due to friction occurs at every point along the pipe. When water starts to flow through a pipe, the pressure is highest at the source and decreases every inch along the pipe. The pressure would be lowest right at the tap. Yeah, that makes sense. Lose 7 psi over 100 feet, in brackets. If we wanted to move 3 gallons per minute through a 1/2 inch diameter pipe, 100 feet long, we might lose about 7 psi of pressure. If the pressure at the beginning of the pipe was 60 psi, the pressure at the end would be 53 psi. Flow, or flow rates, are measurement of the volume of water that comes out of the tap every minute. If a faucet has a flow of 3 gallons per minute, GPM, that means you could fill up to 3-gallon buckets if you left the tap open for 1 minute. Factors affecting flow: pipe size, static pressure, volume of water being moved, pushing water uphill. Oh god, there's a lot to read. Alright, pipe size. Big pipes are better. 3/4 inches, I assume that's what that means, has 225% cross-sectional area of a 1/2 inch pipe. Flow is 270... Oh wow, I got a follower, thank you. I'm going over my schoolwork. Flow is 270% better considering pressure loss. Bigger pipes will improve flow in any part of plumbing, downstream or upstream. Elbows and T's will create pressure loss. Each can account... Wow, another follower. Thank you, guys. Elbows and T's will create pressure loss. Each can account for up to several feet of pipe. Some of this is cut off, actually. Ooh, big paragraph coming up. Refer to pipe size diameter to explain. 1. Pipe size. In bracket, big pipes are better. The first thing we talked about was the pipe itself. How big it is, how smooth it is. How smooth and how straight. It's obvious to most people that the bigger the pipe, the more water that you can move through it. What's not so obvious is how dramatic this is. For example, changing the pipe diameter from 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch makes a very large difference. Many would say that a 3/4 inch pipe is 50% larger than a 1/2 inch pipe, and you should be able to get 50% more water through it. Actually, a 3/4 inch diameter pipe is 225% larger than a 1/2 inch diameter pipe in a cross-sectional area! Exclamation point. If you're keen, you can do the math. The area of a circle is pi x. Pi x. Can you talk about the solar system next? I'm actually just going through my school slides. Like, I'm just going over my school material. The area of a circle is pi times radius squared. Pi is roughly 3.14. The radius of a 1/2 inch diameter pipe is roughly 1/4 inch. The radius of... Oh my god, this is so much math. The radius of a 3/4 inch diameter pipe is roughly 3... What is that? Oh, that's 3/8. It looks so weird. 3 out of 8 inches. Hey, it's me, Vulvapedia. I'm sure you remember me. Anyways, I think it would be really cool if you summarize Wallet Man episode 5. It'd be cool. Do I dare look up what Wallet Man is? In brackets, much better. In practice, the difference is between... Wait, that's not what that says. In practice, the difference is even more dramatic than the cross-sectional area would suggest. If you consider 100 feet of 1/2 inch diameter pipe, you will lose 10 psi of pressure running 3.5 gallons per minute through the pipe. For 3/4 inch diameter pipe, you will lose 10 psi when you flow 9.4 gallons per minute through it. The flow through a 3/4 inch diameter pipe is 270% of the flow of a 1/2 inch pipe with the same pressure loss. I am so glad this is online. I will fail this exam instantly if this was in person. Rusted pipes are bad. We now have a pretty good sense of how important pipe diameter is. This should give you some appreciation to how little water flows through rusted galvanized steel pipes. For example, not only does the surface become considerably rougher, which reduces flow or increased pressure loss due to friction, whichever way you think of it. It also reduces the pipe diameter. This dramatically reduces the ability of the pipe to move water. The profile of a curve or of a faucet fed by rusted galvanized steel piping, for example, becomes steeper with time. Homeowners become less and less happy with the rate of flow available at any given pressure. What class this is? This is Introduction to Plumbing. Well, Introduction to Plumbing Inspection, I should say. Why am I doing this? Why am I taking this? Well, several reasons, like I explained at the top. Well, I clearly can't do nothing in life. My only options were find a job or go back to school. And one of those options just wasn't working out. So here I am, back in school. And why am I going over my school notes here now? Well, because I was supposed to do this ever since Tuesday, and now that it's Sunday, I still ain't gone over it once. So as proof that I'm actually going through it for once, I'm reading it out loud. Like, you can literally, it's there's no definitive way of saying, wait, that's not right. Like, you can't say I'm not going over it. Like, I'm actually reading through my notes for once. Yeah. Not very good at school. Anyways, replacing pipes to improve flow. Changing any piece of pipe along the 100-foot length will help, since pressure is lost pushing water past every inch of pipe along the way. The spacing's kind of weird here. If we only change half the pipe to 3/4 inch, we should still enjoy a benefit. For example, if we wanted a flow 6 1/2 gallons of water through 100 feet of 1/2 inch diameter pipe, we might lose 30 psi. In brackets, lose 15 psi in first 50 feet. If we started with 60 psi at the beginning of the pipe, we'd end with 30 psi at the end of the pipe. If we put a gauge at the 50-foot mark, it would read approximately 45 psi because we'd lose 50 psi along the way. In brackets, again, 6.5 gallons per minute would be flowing past any point along the pipe. And then another case study, lose 3 psi in first 50 feet. Now, if we changed the first 50 feet of that pipe, from 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch, we would be a lot better off. Instead of losing 50 psi through that 50 feet, we'd lose about 3 psi. If we started with 60 psi, we'd still have 57 psi at the 50-foot mark. From that point on, we'd lose 15 psi again, yielding 42 psi at the tap. Instead of 30 psi we got earlier. We're better off than before, even though we didn't change all of the pipe. Changing any part of the pipe helps. A lot of people think you have to change the upstream, bracket first, section of the pipe to avoid the bottleneck problem. Let's try it the other way. If we changed the last 50 feet from 1/2 inch diameter to 3/4 inch, what would happen? The first 50 feet of pipe would look like it did originally. If we started with 60 psi and flowed the same amount of water, we would lose 15 psi. A gauge at the 50-foot mark would read 45 psi. Now, if we changed the last 50 feet of pipe from 3/4 inch, we'll only lose 3 psi through that part. The result at the tap is going to be the same flow, about 6.5 GPM with 42 psi. This is so much. As you can see, it doesn't make any difference whether you replace the upstream or downstream section of pipe. I support you in all your life pursuits. Why, thank you. I really did this just because, well, not a whole lot of things I really wanted to take. Well, I'll be honest, I could have gone to film school, but what kind of jobs can I really get after film school? And do you know how much money people make just by inspecting your pipes? You pause on that. You ever had someone come over to your house just to check your sink or check your toilet? They will charge you like $300, $400, $500 just for that inspection. Let alone actually doing anything, just checking it. You know how much money that is? I'm not even thinking like I can do this and make a buttload of money. I'm kind of more so thinking I could just do this stuff around the house and prevent spending that kind of money for having someone come and take a look. Wait, what did I just hear? You having people look at your pipes? But in all seriousness, like legit, you know how much people charge to check your water pipes and whatnot at your house? Like, just checking. No, never mind doing anything, replacing anything. You know how expensive replacing a toilet is? Or replacing your sink tap? Like, I'm thinking, if I just took this course, maybe I can just do that kind of replacement myself and just not have to pay that much. Now, if I screw up, then of course I'll pay someone to do it for me, a professional. Anyways, but sometimes I read that so wrong. People sometimes tell us that it doesn't make sense to change the piping inside the house until the pipe from the street to the house is replaced. We just tried to convince you that that is not true. Increasing any piece of pipe in the entire system will improve the water supply. The more pipe we change, the better it gets, of course. Alright, in brackets, elbows are costly. We have been talking about straight pipes. What happens if we make water change direction? Elbows, tees, etc. consume considerable energy. Brackets, create lots of pressure loss due to friction. Each elbow represents several equivalent feet of pipe length. Convoluted piping systems have lower water supply profiles. That's cool, I can get money from looking at people's pipes. I was doing that for free. Right? Finally, someone who speaks my language. Anyways, 3/4 inch pipe is more than twice as big as 1/2 inch pipe. Here, if you don't believe me, take a look at this. Just in case y'all don't believe me, here's my notes right in front of me. This is what I have right in front of me. You see that? There you go. Yeah, just looking at this, yeah. You look at the visuals, yeah, 3/4 pipe really is more than twice as big. Yeah, I'm tired. I need to wake up early tomorrow. Damn, I'm not even halfway done. Let's get halfway done. Let's get to slide 35 out of 70. And then I'll study the rest when I feel like it. So right now we are on slide 30. Downstream versus upstream pipe replacement. Installing large diameter piping in the downstream sections is just as effective as replacing the upstream sections. Hey, could you show that again? I'm Vulvapedia. Really like looking at pipes. Might as well go to 40. Upgraded pipes in any part of the plumbing will result in increased flow. Galvanized steel pipe. Rusting of galvanized pipe can greatly reduce water pressure and will eventually cause leaks as rust creates holes in the pipe walls. Problems are likely to occur soonest on pipes carrying hot water, horizontal pipes, and at threaded (thinner) sections. Reduce pressure at with galvanized steel. Damn, why are so many people showing up when I'm reading school stuff. Not when I'm talking about fun stuff. No, when I talk about school stuff, so many people are showing up. And then we have this disgusting picture of a pipe full of rust. These pipes are not in use anymore. You can see the reduction in the effective diameter and flow surface area. Alright, 2. Static pressure. Static pressure refers to how hard the water is being pushed. Typical residential static pressure is 30 to 60 psi. Pressure regulator is required beyond 80 psi. Excessive pressure can wear out pipes. Alright, static water pressure. How hard the pressure is being pushed, bracket, the pressure available at the source, does not have an effect on how much water is available. As you can see, the starting point for all of these curves is the static pressure with no water flowing. Up to a point, the higher the static pressure, the better we are. Wait, the better off we are. Remember, through a high static pressure, thank you for the follow, remember through that high static pressure won't eliminate a problem of pressure loss due to friction. 80 psi is maximum. Beyond about 80 psi, higher pressure is not helpful. Static pressures in excess of 80 psi are hard on fixtures and faucets. Nice burp, thank you. When I'm reading and speaking this much, there's a lot of gas circulating. This typically results in frequent leakage problems. As a result, also I ate dinner not long ago. As a result, residential systems with static pressures in excess of 80 psi usually have a pressure regulator where the water comes into the house. The regulator is usually installed just downstream of the main water shutoff valve so that you have to work on the regulator. You can shut the water off. Yeah, end of sentence. Incidentally, the warranties of some appliances and water heaters are voided if the pressure is above 80 psi. And then we have a picture here of, a house foaming. Pressure relief valve upstream of a main shutoff valve and pressure gauge. In this case, we can assume the pressure is around 80 psi. Alright, slide 35. Pressure regulator required. Residential systems with static pressure in excess of 80 psi usually have a pressure regulator. Oops. Strainer upstream of pressure regulator to prevent sediment buildups. Instead of pressure regulator, there may be an integral bypass that allows water from the house. Wait. Nope, that's a spelling error. It says that allows water from the house side of the valve to move to the city side if pressure builds up. Alright, strainers, pressure relief, and bypasses. Pressure regulators should have a strainer installed upstream to prevent sediment buildups. Regulators in some jurisdictions must also have some means of relieving pressure in the house system. A pressure relief valve set at no more than 150 psi may have to be provided, or the regulator may have an integral bypass. I've been thinking about getting into pipe fandom. Do you have any recommendations for starter pipes? You're asking the wrong person. I just jumped into this myself. This is all new for me too. Well, on the bright side, a lot of the other slides coming up I see are, sure, disgusting pictures, but there's very little to read. Oh yeah, lots of moldy pipes, not moldy, rusty pipes. You know, the corners of the house you don't ever want to go to or touch. And then there's a picture of a liminal kitchen right here. Alright, it's getting late. I'll stay on for like a minute or two more and then I'll call it. I do need to wake up early tomorrow morning. Well, at least I've procrastinated a whole week. I finally read up on some of my materials. And I found out that the due date coming up isn't even Tuesday. It's next Sunday. So I have even more time to goof off. Hurrah! So, literally, from what I see online, me and 2 other students in this class... no updates, no anything. My first due date is 1 week from today. This is the best stream I've ever seen. Who else have you seen goes over plumbing information, piping information, while hunting Pokemon? Oh shit, I see 2 next to discussions. What's this? I do see also here, so there's a handful of discussion assignments that I gotta do and hand in on time. You know, case studies, midterm and final exams as well. But then I also see a couple things here. A couple of knowledge checks, unlimited attempts possible. Oh wow, in the corner of my screen, it straight up says my grade. Currently, it's 0% since nothing has been handed in or graded yet. We're approaching week 2 since starting. So nothing has happened just yet. But, you know, that's good to know. It literally just says my grade in the corner, so I don't have to look it up and do any sort of calculations. Does the pipe community have any gatekeepers problems? Because I might not actually get into it if there's a lot of like, oh, you only have a 5-inch galvanized steel pipe? Lame. I might not try it. Oh god, what have I unleashed into this world? %. Wow, can't get any worse. Worse, think about the good side. You know what? You're right. You're right. That's the kind of mentality I like to see. 0% can't get any worse. Look on the bright side. Alright, that's enough reading, that's enough studying for me. A whopping 40 minutes. That's better than I've done all week. Alright, going back to eBay and looking up some Pokemon merch. There's a Decidueye frame that literally everything else in the set is sold out except for the Pikachu and the Decidueye. And I'm just like, really? Really, you unclassy fools. Leaving this poor Decidueye behind. Well, fine, I will swoop in and take it. I see here literally there's one more. Oh. Gotta wake up early tomorrow. Gotta be sleep deprived. So, I was supposed to go over this material since Tuesday. And this upcoming Tuesday, thank you for the follow, this upcoming Tuesday, when, you know, it will be officially week 2, and I'll have more material to go over, well, let's see just how long it takes for me to get past that stuff. I was told I could talk about my pipe. Yeah, I mean, by all means. No one's stopping you. I envy your pipe knowledge. I did more Can you guys believe this? How stupid is this? I did more studying here doing this that I did all week on my own. I did more studying here, shiny hunting, than I did all week on my own. Well, at least here I can be held accountable, like, did you study it? And then I can literally prove I am by reading out loud the material. Maybe shiny hunting just helps you learn about pipes. No, shiny hunting on the side just helps me keep busy. Because it gives me something to do with my hands. Because clearly I cannot just sit still and just read in silence. No, I need something else to stimulate me. And you know, this isn't the most attention required hunt. I just press the same sequence of buttons over and over and just occasionally glance over to see if the pixels are a different color. Or textures, I should say. Anyways, folks, I appreciate you guys for joining. I'm about to end this because I do need to wake up early tomorrow. I need to wake up at 7. We're approaching midnight for me, but, you know, by the time I hop into bed and actually doze off, waking up at 7 won't mean a full 8-hour sleep, so I gotta get off here. But where else can I hear about pipes? Don't worry, I'll be back. I still have more materials to go over. This is literally the first week's material. I have, let's see, it says here, course ends in 93 days. Will you do an IRL plumber stream next? Honestly, don't count on it. I don't know if anyone wants to see me fix the toilet. Then again, I'm not even there yet. This is, I'm right at the beginning. Please, more about pipes. I'm begging you. Soft reset for a shiny pipe next stream. Well, unfortunately, Volcanion cannot be shiny. Alright. I'm about to end this. Nobody showed up when I talked about the Chainsaw Man movie, but when I go over my school materials, everyone shows up. Everyone likes pipes. Well, nobody likes Reize's pipes, let's say that. I'll do one last encounter after this one, then I'll call it for tonight. Nope. Alright, last encounter, and then that'll be it for tonight. Come on, shiny, 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 shiny. Damn it, no shiny tonight. Alright, I'm gonna end this here. Thanks everyone for joining. I'll see you guys next time. Alright, bye now.